The middleweight super sports segment has been going through a bit of a crisis. Sales have been bad since the 2008 recession, and there really are no signs of it changing. And so companies are looking at how they can fix that. Aprilia has been getting all the headlines as of late with the new RS660, but Yamaha has been working on the problem since 2016. The question is, what is the problem? Aprilia thinks it's that these kinds of bikes have become too extreme as they chase race titles and then become street bikes, that they're just too uncomfortable, that the power bands on these inline-4 engines are only usable when you're on the track and not in the street. And so it's just not a good bike to live with. On the other hand, Yamaha thinks that there are still plenty of people that want to enjoy low clip-ons, dragon knee, and all the other great parts of sport bikes and track day culture. They think the problem is a little bit different. They think it's the price. Over the last 10 years, a price of a Yamaha R6 has gone up by over 50% as material costs increase and the need to always make something better with better components that are inevitably more expensive. Because of that, over the last 5 years, 85% of R6 sales have been in the used market. And that is a serious problem if you're Yamaha and you're trying to sell new bikes. So Yamaha went back to the drawing board, talked to customers, did market surveys, and they kind of discovered two things. One, that the average customer was feeling priced out, and secondly, that they weren't actually using bikes like the R6 to their full potential anyway. So they decided to try and create something that was more approachable, both from an ease of use standpoint, as well as a price standpoint. They also wanted it to be something that you could use on the street and the track, which is why I'm here at Atlanta Motorsports Park for the US press launch of the 2022 Yamaha YZF-R7. Let's talk about what's good, what's bad, and what's iconic about this new machine. What's good? Well, we'll start with the price because that's one of the big things here, right? Last year's R6 would have cost you $12,199. This will set you back $8,999. That's about 75% of the price, but for the average sport bike rider, this is much more than 75% of the bike. And so I think you are getting quite a bit for your money here. I also like the styling, partially because I really like the way that the R6 looked, and this really just looks a lot like an R6 with the exception of that projector headlight beam in the front. And if you've seen the face of the new MT-07, you'll know that's a styling element from there. So what they've kind of done is taken an R6, add a little bit of MT-07, and created the new R7 here. It's available in two colors. You've got Team Yamaha blue as well as performance black, and there's no price difference between the two. What I also like are a bunch of improvements. This is not just an MT-07 with bodywork and clip-ons. Starting up front, we've got the first use of a Brembo master radial cylinder on a Yamaha. It's also the first use of a assist and slipper clutch on the CP2 parallel twin motor. You've got upside down forks that have been upgraded. They're KYB 41mm units, and that's fully adjustable up front. The shock is preload and compression only. You have all LED lighting, and there's an optional $200 quick shifter as well, and that's up only. Another big upgrade is going to be the reinforcement in the frame, as you can see here. All in all, the bike wet weight is 414 pounds. And that's not bad considering the motor is pretty much what's out of the MT-07 minus that upgraded clutch. And so you're looking at about 74, 75 horsepower to push that. Now, on the bad side of things, look, the name is always going to be the first thing that comes up. I have to admit, I was sort of closed-minded about it when I came to this launch. I was upset that they were using the R7 name, but Yamaha did not take this decision lightly. And here's the thing. I think if you are, I was a huge fan of the original R7, the OW02. I think if you're a fan of iconic motorbikes, then you are going to be as well. But the way that Yamaha is looking at this is they're trying to get the next generation of riders in. They're trying to get new riders in, people that don't really have that association with R7. And from a marketing sales standpoint, the issue is if you have an R1, an R3, an R6, and now you're trying to create this next lineup in that portfolio, you have to keep the name consistent as you're trying to sell to new customers. So, look, you might not agree with it, but at least there's a justification. And if you are the kind of person that was all about the original R7 and very high performance superbikes, this probably isn't for you anyway. So what are you gonna do? The other thing is really a nitpick. I mean, I would love to see a little bit more horsepower out of this engine, but considering the price and what the platform was, that's kind of, I'm just daydreaming out loud at that point. I don't think anyone was really expecting to get more horsepower out of this motor for the R7 platform. And lastly, what's iconic? Now, I think Yamaha really knocked it out of the park in terms of what their target goal was. And again, you might not agree with what the target should have been, but the idea of getting new riders in, people that were getting priced out of a $12,000 middleweight superbike, or sport bike rather, or someone that wasn't able to achieve what an R6 was capable of, people like that are going to find themselves very comfortable on a bike like this. So could it have been faster? Could it have been lighter? Could it have been all kinds of other superlatives? Of course, but then the price goes up and that's defeating the entire purpose, right? The idea is to simply create a new platform to get more riders in, and that's what it's all about. You want to have more of your friends being able to join you at these events, get into motorcycling, start with this, and then maybe upgrade to an R1 when they're ready. At my personal skill level, I'll say I had more fun on this than I would have if I was here on an R6 or an R1. So I think Yamaha really knocked it out of the park in that sense. Back home at Iconic Motorbikes, and now that I've had some time to think about it, you know, I don't know if 75 horsepower is what your average sport biker wants, but I do know that the new R7 gives them everything they need in terms of being approachable, capable, and most importantly, just plain fun. In fact, Yamaha has sold out of all of their pre-orders, so if you're watching me right now, you're too late, and you're gonna have to go talk to your local dealership about how you can get one for yourself. On the other hand, if you're looking for some of that old school R7 magic, well, you should come talk to us. I will warn you though, it's gonna set you back a bit more than $89.99.